was very nervous, and he sort of enjoyed making them wait. When breakfast was over, he had a good stretch and limbered his wings. Since it was Sunday, Chester thought it would be nice to start with a hymn, so he chose to open his concert with Rock of Ages. At the sound of the first notes, the faces of Mama and Papa and Mario broke into smiles. They looked at each other, and their eyes told how happy they were, but they didn't dare to speak a word. During the pause, after Chester had finished Rock of Ages, Mr. Smedley came up to the newsstand to buy his monthly copy of Musical America. His umbrella, neatly folded, was hanging over his arm as usual. "Hey, Mr. Smedley, my cricket plays hymns," Mario blurted out before the music teacher had a chance to say good morning. "And opera," said Papa. "And Italian songs," said Mama. "Well, well, well," said Mr. Smedley, who didn't believe a word, of course. "I see we've all become very fond of our cricket. But aren't we letting our imagination run away with us a bit?" "Oh, no," said Mario. "Just listen. He'll do it again." Chester took a sip of water and was ready to play some more. This time, however, instead of Rock of Ages, he launched into a stirring performance of Onward Christian Soldiers. Mr. Smedley's eyes popped. His mouth hung open and the color drained from his face. "Do you want to sit down, Mr. Smedley?" asked Papa. "You look a little pale." "I think perhaps I'd better," said Mr. Smedley, wiping his forehead with his silk handkerchief. "It's rather a shock, you know." He came into the newsstand and sat on the stool, so his face was just a few inches away from the cricket cage. Chester chirped the second verse of Onward Christian Soldiers and finished with a soaring amen. "Why, the organist played that in church this morning," exclaimed the music teacher breathlessly, "and it didn't sound half as good. Of course, the cricket isn't as loud as an organ, but what he lacks in volume, he makes up for in sweetness." "That was nothing," said Papa Bellini proudly. "You should hear him play Aida." "May I try an experiment?" asked Mr. Smedley. All the Bellinis said yes at once. The music teacher whistled the scale do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Chester flexed his legs, and as quickly as you could run your fingers up the strings of a harp, he had played the whole scale. Mr. Smedley took off his glasses. His eyes were moist. "He has absolute pitch," he said in a shaky voice. "I have met only one other person who did. She was a soprano named Arabella Heffelfinger." Chester started to play again. He went through the two other hymns he'd learned, the Rosary and A Mighty Fortress Is Our God, and then did the violin concerto. Naturally, he couldn't play it just as it was written without a whole orchestra to back him up, but he was magnificent, all things considered. Once Mr. Smedley got used to the idea that he was listening to a concert given by a cricket, he enjoyed the performance very much. He had a special praise for Chester's phrasing, by which he meant the neat way the cricket played all the notes of a passage without letting them slip.